Welcome to the third session of Patanjali Meditation 102. Let's see. Okay, that is our slide number 1. Third session. Last week we were discussing the 5 types of modifications to the mind skin called Vittis, the Praman, Vipaya, Vikalp, Nidya and Smriti. We discussed this part, and I also was talking about as if chapter 1 is for a chitta that is without clash, without uh, what is called aklisht vritti. So I think I will devote, because that time I was not just reading offhand from the originals. Today I have listed 6 of them relevant sutras. I think some of you have studied Yoga Sutras at depth, at length, so you will now better be able to follow it. Let me take first few 5 minutes on this thing. So we have, of course, 1.2 is the definition of yoga. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So the word vritti is coming here, which we have discussed, is modifications to the mind skin, and that needs to be subdued, and then one has achieved yoga. Then 1.5 is saying these vrittis, the modifications, are of 5 types, panchtaya. Then he has another term here, klist. This is a compound term. It has 2 words, klist and aklist. And then they are in plural, klist and aklist. And most of the authors, actually, I have yet to find an author who is interpreting the way I am interpreting. That's why I'm trying to make sure you understand it. So, because when you read in the books, they will say that these vrittis are 5 types, some painful, sometimes non painful. That's what, because the term klist is coming from the word klesh. As you will see, the word klesh is coming in 2.2 here, which I will come to you slightly later. So, the word klist is derived from the term klesh. So, klist is meaning one who is affected by klesh. Now, place is a term which is used in India in day-to-day language also, which means pain. But here it is not that. Just like we have discussed, the word yog means union, but in Patanjali's book, yog means chittavritti nirodha, because yog is a technical term. Similarly, klesh is a technical term, and please note that Klesh will appear again in 2.2 here. Samadhi bhavanartha klesh tanukarnarthascha. So he has postponed introducing the term klesh, though it appears in 1.5, but he brings it and second point 2.2, and it defines the term klesh in 2.3, which is avidya, asmita, raga, dvesh, abhinivesha, klesha. So basically, klesh is, you can say, avidya is the major klesh, what is called ignorance, lack of knowledge or wrong knowledge. Something is, knowledge is to know a thing as it is, but if you don't know it exactly as it is, then you are inflicted with avidya. You are ignorant about that thing. So klesh is avidya. Of course, if you are inflicted with avidya, there will be a time in your life that you will do something wrong, and that will be painful. That is a consequence. But klesh itself doesn't mean pain here. The literal meaning, that the way Patanjali is defining the word klesh, means ignorance and not pain, though it can become later on as a cause of pain. Now, the point I am trying to make is the term klist and aklisht here does not refer to the vrittis, does not refer to the modifications to the mind. This is referring to the chitta. Means a chitta is inflicted with klesh, that will be klisht chitta. And a chitta that is not affected with klesh is aklisht chitta. And that is peripheral. That is why he doesn't care to define klesh here. If klesh was so important, he would have defined the term klesh right here, which he did not, and he postponed it to the second point theme. Now let's see what my thesis is. What I am saying is, this is in the aphorism style. These are called sutras, aphorism, where this is klishta, aklishta. So the term aklishta, it is called anuvitti. Anuvitti means anu is following it. So the chapter 1 from 1.5 onwards is relevant for the chit which is aklishta. So aklishta has its shadow on the entirety of the chapter 1. In other words, chapter 1 is relevant for the chitta that is without klesh, and since it is without klesh, he didn't see the need to define the term klesh and postponed it to chapter 2. And that also you will see that's why I put the last statement of the chapter 1, which is tasyapi nayode sarvanayodhan nebija samadhi. So chapter 1 is ending with this. What is called samadhi is the climax of meditation, and bij, this the term bij is seed literally. So when a meditation practitioner is sitting in meditation, there are modifications in the mind, which of course he wants to subdue. But any modification that appears on, if he is disconnected from the outer world, five senses are not bringing in any new piece of knowledge, and also nothing is coming from his memory, then the mind skin is relatively blank. But still, certain things pops up. As we know, we are all beginners here. When we sit for meditation, we are able to blank our mind from distinct thoughts, but then there are a few things here and there that appear. Where do they come from? That is called sanskar. So every individual has certain sanskar. Sanskar is residing in our ahankar, which is what the middle layer was, which is our memory or storage device. That is where I have programmed a lot of things in my mind, and they are very helpful in my day-to-day dealing. And that is what is storing all my ideas, the knowledge based as well as skill based. You know, for example, when you learn driving, the first day you are very attentive, you are fully focused, but after some years of your practice, you are not that conscious in driving. You may be even talking to your neighbor while driving the car, because you have developed the sanskar of driving for with repeated practice. Now the lower part of mind can handle the routine driving activity, which is ahankar and manas. They take care of that, while at the chitta and ahankar level, your higher order intellectual faculty is being used for discussion. So, we do a lot of thinking while the action based activities just go on by themselves. Because once you have put the system in the gear, it goes on almost automated or semi automated. So that is being driven by Ahankar, where the entire module of driving practice is residing, which you have only created. So these are intricacies of what is happening in Ahankar. So in Ahankar, we have created all kinds of sanskars. They are knowledge based as well as skill based. Now, the sanskar is not always present. Like a small child is born, he may have a sanskar of lust, but that lust will begin to be visible when he is an adult. Otherwise, it won't be visible. So there are sanskars, and there will be a sutra that sanskars may be sleeping, maybe dormant, maybe not ripened. All those possibilities are there. So sanskar is in the form of a seed, and seed will pop up at an appropriate time. So this is the description of the word bij here. So 1.551, which is the end of the first chapter, which started with 1.2 yoga. So he's saying at 1.51, now this practitioner has achieved all that because he has achieved a state of samadhi. And now the chit and ahankar are so much cleaned up that absolutely no beej, no seed is also residing. So there will be no sanskar and nothing which will disturb his state of samadhi. So he has achieved what is called final objective of the human life. So you see, the chapter 1 is called Samadhi Path, and at the end, 151, that person for whom chapter 1 is relevant, he has achieved what is called Nibij Samadhi, where even sanskars are no more present, not even their seeds are present. So nothing to talk about sanskar. Now his chit is fully subdued. He has become Niyodha. He has achieved the Niyodh. That was the term in the 1.2. So he is permanently in that state, so to say. So this is what is the picture of chapter 1.2, chapter 1 of Patanjali Yoga. Now the question arises, why should Patanjali write chapter 2 now? Everything has been achieved here. Why Patanjali should write chapter 2, which is now he's not writing yoga, he's writing Kriya Yoga. This is the big question, and I say nobody, as far as I am concerned, I have seen no book is giving good answer to that. Nobody even thinks about these issues. That's why I'm very proud of what I'm talking to you. I hope some of you will understand it, because this is what we have to hold, the true knowledge of Patanjali Yoga. So the question that had bothered me for many years, when maybe Samadhi has been achieved, why should Patanjali try to discuss Kriya Yoga? What is the purpose? Now that riddle is solved only if you understand that in 1.5, where he brought Klishta and Aklishta has its shadow throughout chapter 1. So throughout chapter 1, namely Samadhi Path, the it is relevant for a superior chitta where there is no avidya, there is no klesh. That is what chapter 1 is about. Now chapter 2 is being written for those human beings in whose chitta there is embedded clash is there. They are ignorant, and of course we all are ignorant, but there are some leftover people for whom chapter 1 is very high mountain. They can never climb that mountain. So now he wants to help them, and then he writes the chapter 2. This is for those people who chit has embedded clay. And that becomes clear in his very second line of second chapter. Why should it give the teaching of Kriya Yoga? Then he is saying Samadhi Bhavanartha Klesh Tanukarnarthascha. So he's very clearly saying Kriya Yoga is to diminish klesh, because Kriya Yoga is for those people who have klesh built in their chitta, and now he is trying to teach us what is Kriya Yoga. He has already talked about yoga in first chapter, which was for the people without klesh. Now he is saying Kriya Yoga is for those people who have klesh in their chitta, and what will be the benefit outcome of Kriya Yoga? Their klesh will diminish. That is a very clear statement that chapter 2 Kriya Yoga is relevant for those chitta where klesh is playing a major role. And then at a later stage I will make a statement why does he write Ashtanga Yoga later in the second chapter. But I hope for the time being you understand now, because I am able to list all these 6 sutras on one slide. I hope you can because otherwise I was just reading it out last week. Some of you might not have picked up properly, but now as I am using the pointer, I am trying to say where things are. I hope you understand, and this probably you are not likely to see in any book. So that is what is the importance of it. Let's move on. So last week we discussed five types of vrittis: the kayak knowledge, inkayak knowledge, then something neither kayak nor inkayak. Then nidra is another interesting, where the instrument is there, but there is nothing is, I am disconnected from the whole world due to a superior force, but that he is not specifying. And the smriti is, I am disconnected from the outer world, but within my memory, within lot of things are there which just pop up in my chitta, on my mind screen, and sometimes wanted, sometimes I myself want to review my past, the knowledge I gathered in the past, or sometimes I am daydreaming, or sometimes there is a distractions in mind. So these are the terms we use it. So something happens on my chitta, which is can be correlated with something in the past. Even dreams, which are very haphazard, but if you look them closely, individual components were our past impression, though they might have got connected in a very arbitrary, unwanted, even as a nightmare, but all those components were in our mind at one stage of time. So that was so much about the five vrittis, and now there is a new section, how to subdue them. So 1.12 is Abhyas. Now I have modified my slides. I am bringing what I sent you, the PDF file. I have myself tried to stick them. So you can read the Sanskrit if you can. Otherwise, there is English transliteration, Roman transliteration. And then there is also my own translation. So 1.12 is Abhyas Vayagyabhyam Tan Nirodha. This is Tat and Nirod. Tat is that. What is that? Those five types of vrittis. How are they? How to achieve their nirod? How to subdue them? He is giving us a two-pronged approach. Two-pronged in the sense you have to do both, not one at a time. You have to do both. So abhyas and vairagya. So now there are two new terms, abhyas and vairagya. I am translating in the next slides abhyas as practice and vairagya as enunciation, as if detachment, being unattached. So that is the way I will be doing it. Let's look at 1.13. So there are two sutras, 113 and 114, devoted to abhyas, the first element. 1.13 he is saying is tat sthito yatno abhyasa. Now the question is, tat is there. This is a pronoun there. Where? So tat is referring to, if you have achieved tan niyodha, he was talking previously niyodha. If you have subdued your vrittis, so you are in a subdued state of mind. Now, if you make an effort to stay there further, that will be treated as abhyas. So my translation is to remain steadfast. So, with subdued mind screen, the point here is subdued mind screen may be achieved by almost anybody out of fluke. In our day-to-day moment, even in a medical term, somebody is in shock. If there is a head injury, for a while, you are disconnected from the whole world, isn't it? So I'm not saying such head injury, but even in a typical circumstances, you can, for a moment, I am blank mind. For that tiny moment, it's difficult to define what is the present time. But you can imagine a small time window of a microsecond, you are blank mind, isn't it? If you are like that, that is not Patanjali is saying is real, you have achieved yoga, because it just happened in passing. So that is not yoga. So now he's as if anchoring at that moment. So as a beginner also, we get sometimes a moment where we are relatively blank, almost subdued. But then, as a beginner, we are not quite staying there. It just comes and goes. So, what is abhyas? Abhyas is the ability to stay there for a reasonable length of time. Just touching it flickering is not abhyas, isn't it? Which almost anybody can claim. Yes, when that thing happened, when I received the call or when I was reading that poetry, I sink into peace. Yes. So for a moment you were in a very calm state of mind. But that was just momentarily. And then you became again a worldly person. That's the way we are. So Patanjali is saying tattva means that state which might have come to you as a flickering. Sthito means if you are stationed there. Yat means practice. Again, effort, I will say, because abhyas is practice. So yatna is effort. So what he's saying is, if you were anchored in that moment of subdued state of mind, but now you make a conscious effort to stay there for a longer, to sthito means to remain steadfast there, then that effort will be treated as abhyas. I hope you got it, isn't it? So there is a desirable moment of when all vrittis are nirodh, subdued, but you are not just passing by through it. You stay there, and just to stay there for a longer duration, you make an effort. That positive effort will be treated as genuine abhyas, genuine practice. Then he's saying this requires certain, she's describing threefold features of that abhyas so that becomes Jad Bhumi, so that it is, if you, like I was talking about driving, if you do some practice, you are a learner, do first day 15 minutes, and then you became so busy for 1 month you couldn't do it. Then that first day's practice hasn't quite achieved anything. You may have to start all over again because there was a long gap. But if you do it in a proper manner, then it gets grounded properly. So, as if you have achieved the benefit of that practice. If practice has been done in a certain regularity, certain attitude, certain frequency, and so on and so forth, isn't it? Like in driving, if there is 1 month gap, it is not a good frequency. So, this is what he's talking three parameters, Dirghakal for a long term. He's not specifying here for one to achieve benefits of yoga. He's not saying 6 months is enough, 6 weeks, or he's saying it requires long time. So a great length of time. Nayanta is continuous. It should not be, there should not be breaks in between. And Satakala Sevito with positive attitude. You are there doing it. When you do it, you have you really, you feel I must do it. Patanjali must be right. If I do it, I will achieve it. If you have a kind of doubt in your mind, Patanjali may be just writing some vague things, it's just rubbish. Some people claim this and that. If you have that sort of attitude, then that practice may not bring result. So these are three parameters necessary so that your practice will become, so once you have done enough practice, then it becomes part of you. That part of you is called third bhumi. Now it will not get away from you. So these are two sutras on abhyas. Let's move on to vairagya, which I have translated as enunciation. I think there are two sutras here also. So 1.15, yeah, two sutras here. And he brings a term. So, he has in his mind that enunciation is of two levels. I am using the word levels. So typically the level one is an enunciation from the material world, all our sensual objects, all the material objects are amenable to our five senses, and that gives us some sort of pleasure. Like visual delight, we like to travel to certain places. We just like that beautiful scene. So that is good, a source of pleasure for my sight organ. So he is grouping level one of Vairagya, which is related to source of pleasures which are material objects. So let's read it. Dishta Anushravik Vishaya is objects of pleasure. Vitishnasya. Tishna is the taste, the thirst, and vi here is its opposite. Vitishnasya. And then he gives the title to this level one of Vairagya. He calls it Vashika Sanjaya Vairagya. So he is saying level one of Vairagya ought to be called as Vashika Sanjaya. So he is defining a term here. This is called Sanjaya Sutra. He is defining a term like Klesh was being defined in second point theory. So they are called as Sanjaya Sutra, where a term is being defined, and that definition is to be held in that particular book. Some other book, that term may have different meaning, but Patanjali's book will have this meaning. So this is his definition. So Vashika Sanjaya is a level of Vairagya. What will it culminate as? What will it give rise to? He is saying they are objects of pleasures of life. Some of them you have drishti means seen, but here it's not just seen, it is experienced. So this is called upalakshan. What it means is, like sometimes I see, we will say, see how good is taste, how delicious is the taste of this dish. Can you see that? Actually you don't see the taste of a dish, you eat it and then you taste it. But seeing has become as if to really experience it. So seeing is a term so used through five senses, to experience through five senses, not only through the sight. Hmm? So this means which you have experienced. So a number of objects of pleasures we have experienced. We have eaten many kinds of dishes and we have heard all kinds of music. So, you can think of all kinds of things any individual has experienced in his life. These are drisht. Vishaya means objects of pleasure. Anushravik means I have not experienced myself, but somebody has experienced and he described to me, and I have a feeling, I got a interest in it. Oh, maybe I should also see that place, what this person is describing, or I should also go to that restaurant where he went and he enjoyed the meal. So these are anushravik. So basically he's describing what kinds of way our mind can float. Like I'm sitting for meditation. This is all in the context of meditation practice. I sit for meditation, but my mind goes after a particular restaurant where I had a very tasty food, isn't it? Maybe a month ago. These are things which happen in our day to day life. Or mind goes after some other place, certain things which we have ourselves experienced. So that will be called as my mind, though that object of pleasure is not in front of me. I am sitting with eyes closed. I am intending to go in meditation, but my mind is going after 1 month's experience. 1 month ago, the experience I had when I and my wife enjoyed a meal in a particular restaurant. My mind goes there. So this will be called as the meal at the restaurant is the Vishaya. It is for me a dished Vishaya because I experienced it myself. And now my mind is tempted by what experience I had in the past. So Vitrishna is now Vasika Sandhya means I have raised my maturity, I have come to a level even though I had that experience a month ago, but that is no more tempting to me. Then I am viteshnasya, isn't it? Because that is no more capable of tempting me, and I am as if I never went to that experience, and I am not, it doesn't exist for me. So if I have elevated myself to that stature, that an experience which I have gone through in my life is no more tempt me and disturb my practice of meditation, then I am saying I have achieved Vashika level of renunciation. But this is just one section of that. Then he says Anushavik. So even though I have not experienced that, but somebody told me, and that also can become tempting to me. But I have come to a level that people describe all kinds of experiences, but I don't get tempted by them, and I am able to control their consequences, and I am able to guide my mind into meditation practice, namely Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So I will say I have achieved Vairagya of level 1, which is Vashika Sanjya. Let's look at the second level, continuing with this Vairagya. But as I said, Vairagya level 1 was related to the Vishaya. Vishaya is called Indriya Vishaya. Vishaya is an object, and my five senses are instruments. They they get into contact with that objects, isn't it? So that object is called Vishay, which are handled or which are experienced by my five senses, one of the five senses or more of them. Now he is going to level 2 of Vairagya, which are related to very subtle experiences in my life, subtle experiences. And he is calling Tat Payam. Tat here means that Vashika Sanjaya Vairagya, level 1 of Vairagya. So Tat Payam means beyond that. So beyond that, he is now defining what is that level of Vairagya. He is saying Purush Khyate, there is a sandhi here, Purush Khyate, then Gun Vaitish Niyam. So what he's saying is, all those objects of pleasures, I have taken care of them now. Now I sit for meditation, and no more objects, material objects are tempting to me. But then, in my practice of meditation, a lot of stages are coming, which will be defined in the next sutras, 1.17, which we'll discuss later. Four kinds of sampajyat samadhi, namely vitarak, vichara, ananda, smita. So these are samadhi, but they are not nibid samadhi, as we said. They are intermediate level of samadhi. So as you probably know by now, meditation is meditation, but this is also a deep ocean. A lot of things are possible. So of course one is away from distinct thoughts, but still a lot of fluctuations, images, still image, many things are happening. And that will be discussed next week in 1.17. But now he's saying, in what is the ultimate of all that meditation practice is called Purush Khyate. So as we said, if you go back to 1.2 and 1.3, yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Here vritti means all kinds of vritti, all modification. If all of them have been subdued, then 1.3 was saying tada dashtu swarupe avasthanam. Then the observer gets to know himself. In the language of Sankhya, the observer is called Purush. So Purush is that consciousness which I like to show as a thumb in the fist, isn't it? So that thumb is representing me. That is called Purush here. Purush Khyate. Khyate means getting to know it, self-realization. So Purush Khyate means self-realization. So now he's saying the climax of meditation practice, climax of yoga is self-realization. When chitta vrittis must be subdued, no modifications can exist. And for that to and Now there are intermediate stages which are lower than the self-realization. Now he's talking about those intermediate stages. Now he's saying those intermediate stages, there is a vritti on your chitta. Because all vrittis have not been subdued. If all vrittis are subdued, then you are in self-realization mode. You are not in self-realization mode. That means some vrittis, some sort of modifications are there. But they are not like objects of pleasures and all those things are coming. Something in between, which you will specify in 1.17. But since something is happening on your chitta, and since chitta is made of matter, so Purush is Chaitanya, the consciousness, and our instruments are made of matter, what is called Prakriti. And Prakriti has, as we have discussed in the very first day, Prakriti has three strands. They were called as guna. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. We have discussed this briefly in the first day. So now he's saying gun versus niyam. What he's saying is, if there is anything on chitta, it is nothing but fluctuation, interplay of these three gunas. Interplay of these three gunas, and sometimes they are also very interesting. Even in meditation, we may find a stage we are not we have not been tempted by an object of pleasure, but there is an intermediate stage of meditation, and we somehow begin to think this is the ultimate in meditation, and we begin to enjoy that stage. And then we say that this is my final ultimate goal of life. To when I sit in meditation, I should come to this stage. And that is happening quite a bit. And then you are also drawing a line that this is the ultimate I want, because you are enjoying that stage of intermediate stage of meditation. So Patanjali is warning here, unless it is final self-realization, anything that is happening on chitta is again interplay of prakriti, interplay of guna, and that should also, one shouldn't get much attached to it. There should be vaiteshniyam, again a maturity that I will not be tempted by that. Vaiteshniyam was there in the previous sutra also. So just like I will not be tempted, even if they are present here, the best sweet dish I like, all those things are present here, but when I go in meditation, that doesn't affect me. If I have gained that sort of maturity, now Patanjali is saying in the second level of Vairagya, I should have that sort of maturity that any intermediate stages in meditation, until self-realization is achieved, will also not be tempting to me, that so that it doesn't block my further progress. That he calls as Parvayagya Tatpayam. So my translation here is higher enunciation beyond the level of non-attachment, which was Vashika Sanjay. One doesn't get hooked to pleasures of meditation. That too are subtle modifications to the mind skin by way of intuitive cognition to be dealt in 1.17. Until discrimination has been achieved, Purush Khyate, until self-realization has been achieved. That ends our today's discussion. Today we have discussed the two-pronged approach, Abhyas and Vairagya, which will help a practitioner achieve the ultimate in yoga. And now he will describe what are those intermediate stages of meditation, 17. Then he will describe, as you have seen, the last will be how to achieve Nibbid Samadhi. But we will not be going into up to that in chapter 1. I will go probably up to 1.28. That Japastadat Bhavana, or maybe 1.29. So then we will go to chapter 2, because you know it now. Chapter 2 is more relevant to us because we are common people with place in between. But let us have an understanding of chapter 1. I make few remarks, then I need the 20-minute practice also. So again, getting short of time slightly. because today we have discussed Abhyas and Vairagya. So sometimes I make very weird kind of remarks, but I think we ought to be honest to Patanjali and faithful to him. You might have heard or read, all kinds of things. This is Indian Middle Ages in last 2-3 thousand years. Many things like Hatha Yoga is there, and that's what uh, millions of people think that is what is yoga. There are similar, a lot of misunderstanding. You will see in the Indian philosophical literature terms like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and now there are hundreds of such things. So people at least give some credit to Patanjali by calling it Patanjali Yoga as Raj Yoga. So they do give some credit as if Patanjali exists and his book exists and should also be treated as yoga. But they try to give an idea what is called many alternative paths to yoga. It sounds very good. It is to create more confusion. It gives an idea that yoga can be achieved through different many paths. There are multiple options. So as if you can follow a particular path of action, karma, and again reach the climax of yoga. And so as by reading books, reading, just meditating, just being very bhakti oriented, devoted person, and so on and so forth. But that is not true. Let's see what is the truth. The truth is there is only one yoga, which is Patanjali's yoga. But Patanjali yoga, as you have seen today, requires abhyas and vairagya and regular meditation practice. So that abhyas is nothing but practice, action. That itself is karma. It requires vairagya. You can announce a certain thing only when you have gathered enough knowledge about that. That yes, this is a nice, delicious dish, but its purpose is to give me nutrition, not more than that. And yes, I should enjoy it when I eat it, but it should not become so tempting that when it is no more there, my mind is going after that. That requires a knowledge that you see that particular dish, its right place and time, and that's it. That is the knowledge. With that knowledge only you can gain the power of enunciation. Dhyan is, of course, meditation practice, like we do every day here. And we want you to do every day at home also. Bhakti is also there, devotion. As you will see, soon we will go into a term called Ishwar Pranidhan. So these are different parts of the total package of Patanjali. Total package of Patanjali includes karma, jnana, dhyan, bhakti, everything is included there. So nobody is allowed, at least we, our small circle, we should be aware that nobody can hijack these terms and say that they are alternative paths to Patanjali Yoga. No, that is to an attempt to belittle Patanjali Yoga. Patanjali Yoga is the only yoga and it includes all these components and elements. So that was for today's discussion. Let me go to the webinar room. And then we wanted to, as I have sent you already, a 20-minute package. I will do it accordingly. And then again, we will have your comments, second order comments. I hope we'll be closer to some kind of fine tuning. And it just turns out that there was a development that from Monday onward in Houston, I will be starting to deliver that 20. But that will not be our, that will begin as a, just because it is beginning, but our exercise will continue for some more weeks where we will together finalize our uniform package, isn't it? And then we will also practice it. I will ask those who come here regularly, they will also do it. So we will make a kind of schedule that from next week somebody will volunteer who will do it. So let's say, because as you do it, then you will see, because I myself devoted almost 1.5 days on this. I was doing again using a stopwatch and doing all this many, many times. Then you see where minor, when you read that loudly, then you see it's not quite coherent there. You have to make changes. So I would urge all of you, because you are doing the daily meditation practice, that's why you are here in the second level of the course. In your daily practice, please use that write up, put it in front of you as a printed sheet or on your laptop, whatever it is, and practice your meditation. You might be doing every day 40 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever it is, but try to simulate that 20-minute scenario and see how you are going through it, and then make some comments. So I hope we will together be fine tuning it. Let's do it now. Again, today I am doing it, but next week I hope somebody else in Houston will do it. And we are. आप दो एक में शेयर कर दीजिए. हाँ जी. I think one cable is just too short here. So last week probably it just came out and we didn't notice it. So let's see. So I will be reading that verbatim. I have brought it on my laptop. So probably those who are in webinar mode, they will see me, and I will be, I won't be seeing myself. Rather, I will read that thing, and here it begins now. So let me set an alarm. Because we are simulating the conditions, and it just turns out that the opportunity is beginning here from next Monday, and I will announce it. Maybe, I want to announce worldwide that 6 to 6:20 in the evening there will be meditation in Houston, our hall, and people can join via webinar anywhere. So so all this we are doing in parallel. So we are finalizing our package as well as starting an exercise to benefit the people. Okay, so I set an alarm 2004 to this is 2025. Yes, it's 20 minutes exact. So in front of me are newcomers. We are simulating the condition, and I intentionally made it in a big font. We will devote 20 minutes to Patanjali meditation for mind to become still, blank, void of thoughts. Imagine disconnecting from the outer world, from the mind, and resting in your innermost cave, being alone, disconnected from the mind that is void of any thought. Patanjali suggests disciplining the body, the breathing, and the mind before entering into the cave. Let's look at these 3 steps. Disciplining the body. Sit cross-legged. A cushion may help under the sit bones. At home, you may use the support of a wall if necessary. If you cannot bend your knees, then use a simple armless dining chair. The point is, these are all means. This is not the end. But you want to be in a comfortable posture. And just Notice that your lower back, shoulders, and neck should be straight, but in the process, not too stiff, loose and relaxed. Your hands may rest on the knees or are together with fingers interlocked, or maybe one palm above another, whatever is natural to you. This is about disciplining the body. Now we look at disciplining the breathing domain. First, we will observe our normal breathing for a while, that the body does automatic always 24 by 7. With eyes closed, feel the body movement as air moves out and in. Let us discipline it now. So this was body was breathing. Now we want to consciously discipline it in a more complete manner called diaphragmatic breathing or abdominal breathing. And each breathing cycle will have 4 distinct phases. Phase 1 is deep breathe out, exhaling air through the nostrils. Let's focus on the abdomen, gradually contracting the belly muscles toward spine. This makes diaphragm move up, throwing out air through nostrils. Abdomen contracts to its innermost point, and the system has been emptied thoroughly. In phase 2, we maintain this emptiness, and system is held airtight as if no air can move in or out. Then in phase 3, there is a deep breathe in through nostrils. When our belly muscles move outward and diaphragm moves down, gradually sucking the air in. Abdomen expands outward to its outermost point. Now system is fully filled in with air. The next phase 4 is we maintain this fullness. Again the system is airtight. No air moves in or out. So these are 4 phases that constitute a breathing cycle. Let's look at the whole breathing cycle with its 4 phases. Number of fingers will indicate the phase of the breathing cycle. This was deep breathe out with abdomen shrinking inward. Now I hold the breath out. In phase 3, it was deep breathe in with abdomen expanding outward. Now I am phase 4. I am holding the breath out, breath in. Sorry. And now the next will be breathe out, which is the phase 1 of the next cycle. So each cycle will have these 4 phases. We generally do 3 or 5 such cycles, precursor to meditation. That was about breathing. Now, disciplining the mind. Patanjali suggests the code word Om to tune the mind to meditation. That is a communication between me and my mind, and the code word is Om. The sound begins from the navel area, rising upward, ending with with the lips closing. Om. Not longer than this, not shorter than this. Feel its vibration at the third eye. Om. We chant this sound 5 times before we actually enter into meditation. As the sound ends, focus the mind at the third eye. Leaving the mind at the third eye, imagine that you, the self, is walking into the cave alone, disconnected from mind. Once you are inside the cave, disconnected from mind, Should a thought knock on the door of the cave, remind the mind again to stay outside and be inactive. So once you have been in meditation, imagine you are in the cave and a distinct thought wave is like disturbance from the mind. Again, remind your mind mentally reciting within our mind. That sound doesn't come out. So if a thought wave is coming, you are reminding your mind again. You don't want to entertain it. This word instructs the mind, take rest outside of the cave and let me rest inside. Should it happen that you begin to entertain a thought, then consciously take a deep breath out, imagining that the web of thought has been thrown out. We went through the 3 steps of body, breathing, and mind. We disciplined them. You are in the cave. If the disturbance was of a larger magnitude that you begin to entertain the thought, you are not just reminding your mind, you come out to the breathing level, you throw out that web of thought, then again remind your mind, again mentally recite Om, and then come back into the cave. In the cave, you are in a state of, so to say, thoughtlessness and mindlessness. Now we are ready. Let us meditate with these 3 steps put together. Your body is in a comfortable posture, quiet state. Gently shake away stiffness from your neck, shoulders, wrists, waist. Now close your eyes. Spend some moments scanning your body from the head to toe and imagining as you scan it, you are unwinding any stiffness, tension from different body parts. We are in a very comfortable, stable posture. Now we soften our eyebrows and eyes, and there is a mild smile on your face. The body is ready for us to go into our cave. Now we begin 3 cycles of diaphragmatic breathing. As we do it, let the mind follow and watch the movement of air as we breathe out from lower part of the lungs to the nostrils and in the reverse order when we breathe in. Let's begin. Deep breathe out with abdomen sinking inward. Hold the breath out. Deep breathe in with abdomen expanding outward. Hold the breath within. The second cycle, deep breathe out. Hold the breath out. Deep breath within. Hold it within. The third and final cycle, deep breathe out. Hold the breath out. Deep breathe in. Hold the breath within. Now we take a deep pause for the body to take control of breathing in its automated fashion. This is conceptually very important as we make a final step to go into the cave. We want to be disconnected from body and also from our breathing function, unconcerned about it, though we are confident that body will be taking care of it, breathing. Notice that the mind is now disconnected from the world as it was focused on breathing. You have already achieved one pointedness. That's the advantage of disciplining the breathing. Our mind is now one pointed. And then we want to get lost into nothingness. That is meditation. Instruct the mind to stay focused at the third eye, remaining inactive, thoughtless, so that we can disconnect from mind and walk into the innermost cave. Suspend your awareness a little distance above the third eye and simply watch in a non-reactive way whatever unfolds before you. In this watching, you may experience a state of void blankness as if time has stopped. This is the state of meditation, timelessness. Continue to remain in this state until sound of the bell rings. Remember, if a thought appears when you are in meditation, then gently remind your mind with the code word Om, mentally reciting. Let us chant this sound 5 times together. Om. 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 So that was our 20 minutes module. Thanks to the comments from all of you that helped me come to this point. I have 3 persons here, Kathy, Anjana, Rajesh. Maybe they would like to come and make their comments. Last time we stressed this cable, so I will be careful. So can you come on that chair and say a few words, what you think about this package and how we want to. Because you are coming in the group first time, tell.
All right. The fact that we go through the overall goal first, and then the body, the breathing, and then the mind. I think at the first get-go, it would be good probably to say you can watch me and practice with me as we give the instructions, so they are actually watching and doing it at the same time. You can keep your eyes open. That would be one way. So they're also doing it at the first time that you're explaining. The second thing that I thought was the instructions on the inhale and the exhale are a little too long, because I think the breathing is occurring more rapidly than your instructions, which takes a long time. So I think it may be worthwhile would be to say, yeah, so breathe out. I think I usually like to see if I follow my breath from the nose to the stomach and from the stomach out to the nose. So when we breathe out, the air is going from the stomach out like so. Pause, breathe in, it goes into the stomach, comes out. Pause.
So as we do, we say.
We are saying it, but in a more practical way. That means most people are breathing
can be absorbed
out.
Better.
Pause. Inhale. Pause. Breathe out.
At least in the first instruction demonstration.
Inhale. Pause. And then we are going to climb up to the mind would be Om. So chanting Om from here. And as we're coming to the mind, we are now parked at the gate, and then we can go into meditation, which then can be totally silent. And from there, then it may give us more time for meditation,
yeah,
and less time. So we are using the first instructions to have them practice with open eyes with you.
Yeah.
And the second set of instructions where the breathing is a little bit more rapid.
Yeah.
And then the third set of instructions is totally silent, because now we've reached the cave. So now the rest is open to experience. So that's what I thought that may be a little bit more conducive to actually practice and instructions. So anyways.
I think all of us
go ahead.
Do it, then we can make more adjustment. Catchy, come in. Yeah, very good.
Here.
Welcome, Kathy.
Hello. I thought the practice was good. I'm Kathy. I thought there was some repetitiveness in the instructions had some repetitiveness in it that need to be checked. And I agree that we need to possibly, as we give the instructions, already be in it, because we almost forgot the Oms. Okay. Other than that, I think it was fine. But maybe shorten the instructions so that we can get into the meditation a little bit better.
Thank you. You can add a few things. Good.
Hello, I'm Naresh. I just feel blessed to be here and learn from Acharya Ji. The comments that I have, very minimal, I would add is, as Kathy said earlier, possibly shorten the instructions just a little bit so that we can spend more time in meditation. The instructions are pretty detailed, and I think to some extent may be a little redundant. But I could see for practitioners who are now starting and don't understand or have a knowledge of the steps that they must go through, I can see this type of detailed instructions helping. Maybe the way Acharya Ji is doing it and actually listing it out, if the practitioner, the beginning practitioner, can have that with them as Acharya Ji is going through the methodology in a briefer fashion so that more time can be spent in meditation. Second to that is the possibility of actually having that instruction videotaped so that beginners can actually look at that and not have to go through that every time. I do understand that that is what Acharya Ji is trying to attain, actually, where he can get a format that can be universal, so to speak, for anyone who is wishing to begin the practice of meditation. That's the few comments I have. I thoroughly enjoy this class. I did it last semester, and I just feel blessed to be in his presence. Thank you.
Thank you all for today's session, and as usual, I will invite comments of those in webinar mode. Their comments will be helpful on what we did today, on the entire session or on this practice part, what we are doing on 20-minute module. Thank you all. See you next week.